Hey everyone, welcome back. So, today I have a foster care update for you guys. It has been 19 days today that our foster daughter has been with us. I still have not thought of a good nickname for her. I don't want to put her real name out here, but I do want to think of a good nickname for her. And I just feel like I want to do something that maybe she's interested in, that's very like her personality. So that way it has some meaning to it. But everything I come up with, I just feel like it's so silly. So I'm going to keep working on that. So for now, I will just reference to her as our foster daughter. That being said, let's get into the update. It's been a wild ride. It's only 19 days into it and it's exhausting. There has definitely been some challenges thrown our way. Because this is our first placement, we don't really have anything to compare this to. So we don't know if what we're experiencing is normal and should be expected in the future, or if maybe this is just how, this one placement has worked out. So I have to be very careful, obviously, on how I word things or what I say, just to protect like the confidentiality of her and her case. But also I just want to be very careful on how I say things because I don't want to discourage anybody from becoming a foster parent. But I will say this is just something that you won't know everything about until you actually get in it. So we are definitely learning some things that we just couldn't learn from a book or from sitting in a class. Like sometimes you just really have to experience something in real life to know. Plus we're doing teens, so that kind of comes with its own challenges. And she's a typical teenager. We are definitely realizing that. So the honeymoon phase is a real thing. Ours lasted about, I would say like 10 to 12 days. And then, so this past week has been more challenging than the rest have been. We're dealing with, again, I have to be very careful on how I say things. So while we're dealing with normal teenage issues, Cody and I have not had a teenager before. We don't have children of our own either. So we're kind of jumping in the middle of this and trying to navigate. So something that has been the biggest challenge for us was when I first accepted the placement call for our foster daughter. The understanding was that she was supposed to return back to full-time school that following Monday. So she had come to us on a Monday, so she had like a full week with us before she was going to return back to school. So, Cody took off of work and he made sure that he was home and available for her 24/7 when she first arrived so that she wasn't going to be left at home alone. Well, it wasn't until she actually got dropped off to our house that her caseworker actually let us know that it was in her best interest. It was determined to be in her best interest that she actually stay virtual. Now, it's not that I have anything against virtual school, but I know that with Cody and I's schedules, that basically meant that I was going to have a teenager, a stranger, in my home I work 9-hour days. So by the time I get home and when I leave, in the morning, she's going to be gone. I'm going to be gone for 10 hours. So it made me really uncomfortable. In Cody's line of work, he is a fireman, and here in our county, they're 24 hours on and 48 off. So every third day, he's gone for 24 hours. And I just don't feel comfortable leaving a teenager in my home unoccupied for 10 hours. I just feel like that's a huge safety concern. I feel like there's just a lot that a kid can get into in that amount of time. I mean, Cody and I were just both really unsettled by it. But I think the thing that we were most unsettled by was that this decision was made in the middle of when we accepted the placement to when she actually got to our house. So, had we known on the placement call that she was actually going to be virtual for the rest of the year, that could have severely changed our decision. Like, we knew our work schedules this whole time. So I feel like if they would have said, like, oh, by the way, she's going to stay virtual the whole year, we probably would have been like, that's probably not going to be a good fit, because we don't feel comfortable having someone in our house unoccupied for that long. I mean, she could be the best kid in the world, but we don't know. We don't. She could also be the totally other extreme, and you can't keep her out of your sight for 5 seconds. Like, we had no idea. So finding that out in the middle of the placement being placed was nerve-wracking. It was a blindside, and I really did not like that. It was really difficult. And so let's just fast forward. It wasn't working. Virtual school was not working because I don't know how much I can really share, but I'll just say that there was some motivation issues, I guess, not even with school, but just daily living, staying in a bedroom all day to do school, and then not really having any sort of hobbies or peer interaction. It just makes for a very long day. It just didn't seem healthy to me. It didn't seem physically healthy to me to have her do that. It didn't seem mentally or socially healthy. Just to do that day in and day out, and only have Cody and I there. Cody's there for 48 hours, and then he's gone for 24. And then on that third day, I'm gone for 10 hours, and she just has no socialization all day. I know more about her case than you all do, obviously, and it has to be that way. But that being said, there are more, factors to this that I am considering. Because I know her case, because I know her struggles and things that she's dealing with, her being left home alone, it just wasn't setting well with me. I felt afraid every day that I came to work. We have like security cameras in the house, and I'm just like constantly checking the security camera. Like, is she okay? What is she doing? Like, I couldn't even focus being at work, and it's just not where you need to be mentally when you're trying to take care of someone, but yet you can't get past like fear in your brain. So I knew something needed to change. I spoke with Cody, and we both agreed that I was going to reach out to her social worker and let her know that they needed to reconsider, because Cody and I did not feel like it was in her best interest. We didn't feel like it was in our home and our family's best interest to have that continue. In our county, kids are going back to school full time. So at this point, it was just a preference of hers that she wanted to stay virtual. And I'm sure a lot of kids want to stay virtual. I'm sure that they like not having to wake up early and deal with other kids or deal with bossy teachers. And it is a level of lackadaisical work. And it didn't seem very structured. I feel like she wasn't in class when she was supposed to be, and she would say that she didn't have a class like certain periods, and I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. So I just feel like this will keep her more accountable. She'll be in school, she'll be in seat, and this way I know if she is not, participating or doing her work, that her teachers will, reach out to me or her, social worker, and we can kind of monitor it better that way. So she was not happy. We reached out to her, counselor, her social worker. And, she said, well, yes, I can see how everything that you just brought up is actually a good point. let me see what we can do about getting her into in-person school. Long story short, she ended up going back to in-person school. She's not happy about it. She is not happy. At one point, she just was like flat out like, I'm not going. Which she ended up, having to go. But I think initial response and reaction was, I'm angry and, I'm sick of people deciding things for me. Like, I'm sure that, like as a foster child, like you're so sick of people just making decisions for you and feeling like you don't have control. And I think that's where the initial reaction came from. Like, to just spew anger. I think that that's the only thing that she really knew how to do in that moment. And I mean, it's understandable, but she ended up going. And it's an adjustment. We're only on day 2. Today was her second day back at in-person school. So we by no means have a routine down. Things have not normalized yet. So we're still in the beginning stages of it. So please pray for us, because I just feel like we're going to need it. I feel like this isn't really going to be the last of it. I feel nervous and I feel uneasy, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if it's just like initial change that is making me feel uneasy, but I want to go ahead and find some sort of a routine with all of this. I want it to kind of settle down and settle in. But again, I think that the placement just started off in shock for Cody and I, just with that huge adjustment and change that we weren't expecting. And I mean, when a kid is sitting in front of you, they're already in your house, you don't really feel comfortable to be like, I'm sorry, that's actually not going to work for us. Especially it's like our first placement. Like, we're so timid and shy right now. Like, we have no idea what's okay, what's normal. And then when they said it was just like determined in her best interest, we didn't know what that meant. Like, oh my God, what happened between a few days ago when I talked to you about, getting the placement versus now. So it was just very uncomfortable, especially because like the meeting, when they first dropped her off, it was like me and then the foster placement, Cody, her social worker, and then her counselor. And so a lot of it, I didn't feel comfortable to like ask very personal questions in front of the foster child, like, or to like speak up and advocate even for Cody and I and our family and our house and our relationship of like, hey, that's not going to work. Like, doing that in front of a teenager who is fully aware of what is going on. I mean, it's not like a 4-year-old that you're getting, it was intimidating. So I think in the future, a lesson that I have learned is I'm going to ask a lot more questions when I get a placement call. And I'm going to be a lot more clear as far as like, is this for sure happening? Is what you're telling me, is there any chance that this could change between now and then? And if so, you need to contact me because that may change our answer. So I'll take responsibility for that. I didn't do a good job at asking questions and I should have done better. Lesson learned. So anyways, she has started school. One thing that she wanted to do was get some new clothes. So there is something called like a clothing voucher for foster children. It's like a separate payment that they get, I think like every 6 months. So she had like a couple $100s to spend on clothes, which really isn't a lot depending on where you shop, but she was allowed to go to either Burlington, I think like JCPenney's and Ross accepts the voucher, so you can't just shop anywhere, which I think it kind of stinks because, so our foster daughter, for her body type, like she can't really shop at just any average store. And so it was requested by her that we could maybe shop for it online, and then Cody and I would like put it on our credit card or purchase it, and then we send the receipts back to DSS and then they reimburse us for that. that's kind of tough because that's a couple $100 that we weren't expecting to come out of our accounts. And you only have 30 days to, spend the voucher and get the receipts back to them. So all of a sudden we got a voucher. We had 30 days to pay for the stuff, get the stuff, and then send the receipts back to DSS. And I was like, man, that was a bill that I wasn't expecting. So for the next 2 weeks, Cody and I's accounts are a little lower than we're used to. And I don't know how long it will take to get reimbursed for that. I guess this will be the first experience to see how quickly those things happen. So we just got her clothes in today. I actually have to go home and go through them and just make sure that I got everything in the box that I ordered. The box looked kind of small for the amount of clothes that we ordered, so hopefully everything's there. But she'll be getting those tonight, so hopefully that helps her also feel a little bit more confident and excited to go back to school with some brand new clothes. So that's how the voucher works. And then something that she also wanted to do was like have chores, which I thought was so weird. Like, what teenager asks for chores? But of course it's, money motivated, and as it should be, I suppose. So she has her own cell phone, and she, needs to pay for that. And the amount of money that the voucher that you get for a foster child is supposed to be given to them, like ours is only like $33. That's not going to cover her phone bill. So she needed more money, and so she wants to do chores. So I ordered like a chore board off of Amazon, and actually I really like it. So it has like daily chores and then weekly chores. So, her and I sat down and we created the list together. And then each chore is worth like a certain amount of money. So all in all, if you don't do a chore, you don't get paid for it. If you do, you put a check by it. And then at the end of the week, we tally it all up. And the maximum amount that she could get was $25 a week. So either way, you like divide however many chores there were by 25, and that's what she gets paid for. So we've had a little issue with the chore board. So I had to speak with her yesterday because there was incidents where she wasn't actually doing her chores. She was just putting checks by them. You don't have to do the chores if you don't want to. Like, these are up here because you wanted extra money, and it's totally up to you however much money you want to make at the end of the week, but don't cheat the system and just put checks by stuff that you didn't do. Like, if you're motivated to get the money, then just be motivated enough to do the chore. And that upset her that I, called her out about it. So she, stormed off to her room and got on the phone with one of her friends and was just, she was going in on me. So that's okay. It's a teenage thing. I just, I thought it was funny. I don't think she was trying to hide it at all. I mean, she was like having her friend on speaker and I could hear everything. And I'm like, okay, that's awkward. So apparently any sort of like disciplining, I guess you could call it, is gonna be really difficult. Especially if that's how she's gonna react every time I have to speak to her about something. So I'm a little nervous. That sucked, because I don't know. I mean, you want them to like you, and up until this point, like, it's just, I don't know. I guess that was the first time that it just didn't seem to go well. And so that was kind of disappointing. Because, I mean, like I said, you want them to like you. And so it's awkward to me to like have someone in our house that's mad at me. And I'm like, now you've made me feel uncomfortable in my own house. And I'm like, tiptoeing around her. And it's just, I'm going to have to get used to it. It's definitely going to be an adjustment. It has been an adjustment, but this week has just been very difficult. I feel the energy shift in the house of just like being on pins and needles. I feel the nervous energy, but I also just feel like I feel like everybody's just like more on edge this week. And I don't know if it's like the school situation that was just making everybody kind of antsy, but I don't know. I'm definitely having some hard days lately. I hope they get better. I really do. We definitely want to keep fostering, but you guys, I really think like I'm having some second thoughts about like fostering teens. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll just try to like switch up the age group, maybe on the next placement, and just see if I feel any different or any better. It could just be like a weird funk I'm going through. I'm not sure. I think I have faith that it's going to get better, and I hope it does. So keep me in your thoughts. Keep Cody and I in your prayers, and hopefully things will only get better from here. But that's the update. So I'll probably check in another few days. Hopefully Cody will do the next video with me. It's been hard because she's always around, and so like we don't want to talk about her in front of her. It's kind of weird. So and again, like we're being very like careful on what we say to not say too much of her personal stuff, but we just want this channel and this video to be like from a foster parent perspective. So not to like, I don't want to put any child like on blast or, you know, like share too much of their personal story or information. I really just want this to be for other foster parents who are thinking about, you know, going into it. Just kind of like what to expect and at least our journey. And if nothing else, if nobody even watches these videos, then at least Cody and I can look back on these one day and be like, wow, look at what we did. Look at where we came from and look where we're at now. So if nothing else, these are good for us. But okay, time for me to leave. Well, almost. I got 20 more minutes. It's Friday. Thank God the weekend's here. All right, I'll check back in with you guys. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what type of future videos you guys want to see. All right, bye.